Welcome back, everyone. My name is Elias, and this is Beth. And today, we're bringing you 7 no-nonsense tips that you should know before moving to Dallas, Texas. So let's get to it. First, buy a home and don't rent. Because we are real estate agents, we are of course going to talk about the housing market in Dallas. So why do we say buy and don't rent? Well, for one thing, buying a home in the Dallas metroplex is a lot cheaper than other metropolitan areas. We have more land and space to grow, which keeps housing relatively affordable. However, the Dallas metroplex is also growing so fast right now. In the short term, it may seem like you're saving money, since rent is cheaper than paying a mortgage, but you are losing a huge opportunity when you don't buy. Look anywhere online and you'll see that the Dallas metroplex is the #1 fastest growing metroplex. Not in the top 10, not one of the fastest, but the single fastest growing metroplex in the US in 2023. So do yourself a favor when you move here. Buy a home and start building equity now.
Second, let's get into the nitty-gritty of some unique aspects of home ownership in Dallas. It may seem like a lot of information, but we promise you need to know this. We don't want you surprised by the unique aspects of Texas. So there's 3 subpoints in this tip. The first thing we're going to talk about is foundation issues. The ground in Texas is actually clay. That means the clay shrinks in the summer with the heat, but the clay expands with the heavy rains in the rainy seasons. As you can guess, this can cause all sorts of foundation problems for homes. Homes in Texas are built to withstand this for the most part, but all homes in Texas still tend to have foundation issues. What does that mean for home buying? I'm glad you asked. We always get inspections before buying homes. And if there are foundation issues, we have the seller take care of it. You never want to do the work after you purchase the home because you never know what kind of plumbing issues might come up after the foundation is fixed. It is far safer to have the seller fix it before the purchase. That way, you as the buyer are not running into tons of hidden fees. If the house has recently had foundation work done, this is nothing to be scared of. In fact, it is often a benefit to you that the foundation work has already been taken care of. Every home in Texas will have foundation issues at some point. So if they have fixed it recently and the foundation work has a lifetime warranty on it, then you're really in great shape. Next, we're going to talk about roofs. Everybody has a roof on their house. There are several things about Texas weather that harm roofs. Extreme heat is hard on them, and so is the hail. We tend to get hail a few times a year, even when it's not that cold outside. Lastly, extreme winds can cause damage to roofs by bending or even blowing the shingles off the house. For damaged roofs, it's really important to understand how your insurance works. When your roof is damaged, you're going to want to submit a claim to homeowners insurance ASAP. If you wait too long, for example, longer than a year after the damage occurred, the insurance company is most likely going to deny your claim. Also, because of the frequency of damaged roofs in Texas, many insurance companies are now removing the 1% deductible and replacing with a 2% deductible. So in layman's terms, you will likely have to pay 2% of the cost of your home to replace your roof, not 1%. If your home costs $300,000, that would cost you $6,000 to replace a roof instead of $3,000, quite a bit more expensive. And the last point on housing, Texas is known for having no state income tax, which is fantastic, but it also gets a bad reputation for higher property tax. It's hard to give an estimate for all of Texas or even the Dallas metroplex, but if you Google it for a home that is not your homestead, which we'll explain in a minute, expect to pay roughly 1.8 to 2% of the assessed value of your home in taxes. This is quite a bit higher than the national average, so if you haven't budgeted well for this extra expense, it can really shock you. Our recommendation is to budget double what you normally pay for property tax. It will probably be less than double, but this will keep you from under budgeting. Now, this is where a homestead exemption is really helpful. A homestead is not totally unique to Texas. Some other states have similar programs, but the details are unique to Texas, with the most recent update being just last year in 2023. Anyone can get a homestead on the home they live in as their primary residence. This does 2 things. 1, the state can only raise the assessed value of your home so much each year. There is a cap. Second, the state, after they value your home, cuts $100,000 off the value of your home, and then they tax that number instead. For example, Texas will tax a home valued at $300,000 as if it were a $200,000 home. Those are some big savings. All you have to do is apply your homestead after you've purchased your home. We have helped literally hundreds of our clients do this, and we can definitely help you as well.
Okay, on to our third tip. Enjoy the heat, don't dread it. A lot of people are scared of the hot summers, but you have to understand people have been living here a very long time, and so we figured out how to thrive in this hot climate. As a family, some of your funnest memories can be an afternoon at the pool, a day on a boat in one of the massive lakes, going to rivers, ponds, or lakes to fish. Splash pads are also a phenomenal place to take your young children as well. I have 4 daughters ranging from 5 to 12, and I can tell you, come summer, they live in the water. It's their favorite part of the year. And then for the adults, there are a few things more relaxing than a beer or margarita by the pool. Take my word for that. So like I said, don't be afraid of the heat. Summer is one of the funnest times of the year in Texas. And since we're on the topic of weather, it is also good to note that Texas winters are really mild. So you get fun summers, and you also get very tolerable winters. There may be some cold weeks where it can get well below freezing, but on average, the temperatures will oscillate somewhere between 30 and 60 degrees, and not bad at all. Unless you were born in Texas, and then you think it's freezing, like a pansy. And then there's the rain that we like to say everything is bigger in Texas. And it's also true for the rain. Texas, partially or fully sunny around 250 days out of the year, and that's great. But when it does rain, it rains hard. Expect most of the rain to come in the spring, but there's also rainy seasons in September through October. So going back to the foundation issues, this is why the ground expands and shrinks so much. You have spring rain, summer heat, and then fall rain again. 4th tip, let's talk transportation. Be prepared to drive. The Dallas Metroplex is extremely large, both in terms of population and landmass. Unlike other cities, which are far denser, DFW is spread out. There are pros and cons to this. Of course, one of the biggest upsides being you don't feel squished. The roads are wide, the restaurants are big, and you can buy more house for the same money, all those things. The biggest downside though is how far you have to drive for things. The public transportation in Dallas is honestly just not that good. So if you want to go to that well-known restaurant one city over, you have to drive. For most things, you'll only need 5 to 10 minutes depending upon the suburb that you live in. But if you choose to live in a suburb, it's pretty normal to drive 20 to 40 minutes to get to downtown Dallas. To get from one corner of the Metroplex to the other, it can take 2 hours or more depending upon traffic.
And that's a long ways. All right, for our 4th tip, we recommend you find a community ASAP. This will likely not be a point you hear many people talk about, but it's really important. DFW, since it's the 4th largest metroplex in the US, can feel daunting for newcomers, especially if you aren't moving from another major city. If you don't make finding a community a priority, it won't happen. Oftentimes, you won't find your community in your neighborhood like you would in smaller cities. You're going to need to join the local gym, find a church or worship center, go to your children's school events, etc. Everyone in big cities has a constant complaint. Wow, I'm so busy. If you let this be your excuse, you'll likely, over time, begin to feel lonely, and you'll think Dallas is the problem. In part, you would be right. It is the fault of every big city. That's why you have to be intentional. Otherwise, you will feel like you're always being productive without ever simply being with people.
That's right. So for our 6th tip, let's talk location. If your work isn't constraining your exact location, consider Fort Worth or Arlington when considering to move to Dallas. These are major cities in the DFW Metroplex, not just suburbs of Dallas. You can get many of the same amenities in Fort Worth that you can in Dallas, often with a much lower cost of living. But if you would like to stay closer to downtown Dallas, we recommend many of the fast-growing North Dallas suburbs. We're talking Flower Mound, Louisville, Plano, Richardson, Roanoke, Denton, and Frisco, just to name a few. In terms of comfortability, access to the rest of Dallas, and cost of living, it's hard to go wrong. For more specifics, we will be making videos on each one of these locations. If you are moving ASAP and you need more info now, feel free to call us or email us. Our contact is always in the description below.
All right, for our very last tip, let's talk budget. Our goal is to give you a rough guide to understanding the cost of living in the Dallas Metroplex. Feel free to watch this section a few times if any of these numbers blow past you. DFW has a slightly lower cost of living compared to the national average. This is great news, especially since it's the 4th largest metroplex in the US. Lower costs, but big city amenities. Expect your biggest expense to be housing. This is true anywhere in the US, and it's true in DFW too. The average home price in DFW is right around $400,000. So you can use an online calculator to estimate your mortgage payment depending on current interest rates. For a single adult, you can expect to pay $200 to $300 a month on groceries. Utilities like water, electricity, and gas can cost you between $200 and $300 per month, depending on the time of year. Your summers will of course be on the higher end, as will January and February when it's colder. Expect to pay around $50 per month for internet. Car insurance on average costs someone a little under $2,000 a year, and gas right now sits right around $3 a gallon. Depending on which restaurant you're in and the quality of that restaurant, expect to pay $12 to $25 for one meal, with that number increasing a lot if you get alcoholic beverages.
For sure. And last, a bonus tip for you to wrap up this video. If you're thinking about moving to Dallas, just come and visit. We can show you around the city or suburbs that you're interested in. We can take you to look at homes and neighborhoods, and we can help you get a feel for where you might be moving to. This can take a lot of stress off your plate when moving to a new city. Man, we really hope you enjoyed this video. If you got value out of it, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. They help us out tremendously. And if you need help in any of your home buying journey, we would love for you to contact us. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.